Welcome back, everybody. This is Rudy with Alpha Investments. And today, no real fancy videos, no real shenanigans or anything. We're just going to have a good conversation. I think we're all just going to relax and talk about life a little bit, kind of a little philosophical day, a little psychology action. And I wanted to focus on a few things. And that is, one, the mindset of what I feel a lot of people in today's society, and this does apply to Magic the Gathering, but I think it's a lot bigger than just Magic the Gathering. I think it's more of an issue of what I see every day, and I think it's sad. I think it's just discouraging. It's not really depressing or angry or anything, but I think it's just a lot of people don't have the right mindset, or people don't seem to have the correct drive or passion. I mean, in 2019, you really just don't see a lot of passion or people willing to go the distance or take on challenging goals or really push the envelope or, really try to do something to either better themselves, their life, their family, or their future. And I think a lot of it's cultural related. I think a lot of this is kind of our mindset as a society nowadays. I think social media and a lot of things where we all look at these, Instagram posts or a Twitter account with millions of followers, and, they post crazy pictures or exotic lifestyles with a big yacht or a private airplane with 20 hot chicks and all this crazy stuff that's very unrealistic for the average person. And I think it's almost very discouraging. It almost has a bad effect on people's mindset. So in the world of Magic, what I find interesting is that, people say, well, I'm going to stop here, because people say in the world of Magic, well, Rudy, you got people like Rudy and his endless funds or his endless situation and the explosive growth, or it's easy for someone like Rudy to talk like this because he's already overcome that big hurdle in the world. He's already been able to break through that glass ceiling where he's kind of, moving forward, like they say. To go from $0 to $1 million is incredibly difficult. And anyone who tells you otherwise is either lying to you, or, they say, well, if you're not born into it, you have no chance. But to go from 1 million to 2 million, or to go from 5 million to 6 million, or to go from 10 million to 11 million is actually pretty easy to do because of the percentages. And, after you're kind of off that ground floor, life is easier in certain categories. And I think nowadays, it's more important than ever for regular people to focus on something that they have a passion for or something that they're good at. So for my followers mostly that are into Magic the Gathering and maybe even Pokemon or other trading card games, Force of Will, Weiss, whatever, Yu-Gi-Oh, Vanguard, I think it's more important than ever that a lot of these people, some of the most common things I get from my patrons who I kind of talk to, and we have some financial discussions and things like that, is it's important to follow what you really want to do. And I know people say, well, again, it's easy, Rudy, to say that if you've already made it type thing. And, a funny thing is with my own family and with my own mom and everything, the joke that she still throws at me almost every weekend when I visit them for dinner is that, I'm the same person that complained to her every single week for years, all through college, when I had a real job. And I was the person that complained to her nonstop about, Mom, the system is broken. How are regular people supposed to get ahead in this world? And now, because I broke through that, I never hear the end of it. It's kind of ironic. It's kind of a bittersweet thing. And she reminds me all the time, because I preached it and complained about it for years. And I think it's interesting that I look back at that. And the biggest thing is I had talked about even starting a YouTube channel I'd say probably 2 years before I even actually did it. And my own father and my own parents were the ones that just said, just literally go in your office and film a video. Seriously, just do it. Get it over with. And they were the ones that actually pushed me to do it when I first started, which is funny because I was the one that would just shoot it down, say, no, I don't have the equipment. I don't know how to edit. I don't have the facility in place. I don't have a studio. I don't have any microphone stuff. I can't, to be a successful YouTuber, I didn't have anything in place. And more importantly, I don't think I had the confidence, which it turns out it really isn't about the video editing, and it really isn't about the equipment or anything, as long as it just looks decent and is, I mean, if you have a potato cam, you should obviously have a decent, where it looks clear. But it really wasn't about that. It really came down to the individual and how you held yourself and presented yourself when the camera was on. And I thought that was pretty interesting how I've learned that over the last 2.5 to 3 years now that I've been on YouTube. And I remember just freaking out and calling people in the middle of the night saying, oh my God, I just got 3 new subscribers. I just went from 10 to 15 subscribers. And it was such a weird thing. And then all of a sudden, I remember signing up for the AdSense with Google and getting a couple dollars, like $3 in a month or something, and like going, oh my God. And then it went to like $3 in a week. And then it raised to like $1 a day. And I was like, oh my God, I can make like $50 a month. This is great. And I think the biggest problem now, to swing it back around to the kind of my rambling video here, is people don't seem to push themselves anymore. Everybody wants this quick, get rich quick thing. Everybody is, and the worst part is too, and I tell many patrons this, and many people who send me private messages, is it's the most commonly asked thing I get when it comes to investing and stuff is, Rudy, what booster box should I buy today? What's the best investment? And there's never really a clear, definitive answer to that question, because it's not really a very valid question to ask. The market is fluid. The market changes on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. The rules, wizards, the community, the player base, digital, PewDiePie plays Magic Arena, all of a sudden everything goes crazy. You really can't predict the direction of things. And the most important thing, I think, when you analyze this stuff is really, you need to be positioned so that no matter what direction is coming at you, you have the ability to adapt, evolve, and move forward with it. And that does require a lot of time, a lot of work, a lot of thinking, a lot of planning. And, everybody just wants this, I'm going to go buy a scratch-off ticket or a lotto ticket. Did you see the mega millions, billions, and Rudy, what do you think? Okay, you guys remember when the lotto, the mega ball thing hits $1 billion, that's because nobody's winning. And it keeps going up because nobody's winning. And everybody wants this big hit to jump themselves forward. And it reminds me of on Wall Street when I worked at a brokerage firm for many years when I served my time there. Clients would always ask me, Rudy, what do you think about, I feel confident about Apple or Google or Hasbro earnings or something. I'm going to place a bet. I want to do options with you. I want to do trades. I want to do, different straddles and iron condors and these, and I'm just like, you're just trying to hit it big. And you don't fully understand the time decay, the premium, the break even. You don't seem to fully grasp the risk level you're incurring when you're trading options or you're buying contracts, or even if you're selling covered calls or naked contracts to try to just get free premiums. Nothing's free. You are always trading something. And what turned out to be true as the years go on is that most people who become very successful and the people who end up creating wealth is it's a very long process. And there's always going to be outliers that could make you happy or angry. Maybe someone like me or somebody comes from out of nowhere a couple years ago and just explodes into this magic YouTube thing, and nobody really knew how to handle it, or nobody really saw it coming. And and it can be very emotionally on the response. You can be very positive or negative, and a lot of envy, jealousy, anger, and happiness and proud of somebody, or very sad or pissed off about something. But I think at the end of the day, as a message to everybody who watches this channel, when you watch me show you like collection buying or box openings or talk about the patrons and, I don't tell you guys to subscribe to the channel. I don't tell you to like the videos. I don't tell you to sign up for Patreon. I don't tell you to buy booster boxes from me, and I'm not going to tell you to buy the reserve list or do anything you want. You can do whatever you want. The purpose of this channel, which I don't think a lot of people fully understand the complexities behind it, is the channel's had a lot of positive effects on a lot of people who've moved forward or pushed themselves to better themselves, or credit cards, or investing, whether it's Robinhood and stocks or bonds, or even just buying some reserve list cards whenever they can. Buying a $50 reserve list card once every month or so just for fun to collect and build something. And I don't think people understand the importance of how I feel when even one person, signs up for Patreon and says, Rudy, I'm signing up to Patreon to communicate with you, and I just want to tell you thanks. I know I'm just going to do $5 or $15 a month. I may buy cheap boxes, I may not. It's not really what it's about. But I wanted to thank you because, you're a person who I was not born into a lot of money. No one in my family, I was the first one to ever go to college. My parents did not, my dad, they didn't graduate high school. There's no special trust fund story here that, unfortunately, billionaires will say, well, maybe you should have been born a trust fund baby. Well, most of us aren't. I wasn't. I'm pretty sure most of you watching this probably were not. But I think the most important thing was I learned from myself and family and coworkers and exes and friends and relationships that it really takes a lot of discipline and a lot of sacrifice on quality of life and spending to really create that wealth, to break through that first $0 to the 1,000 to 10,000 to 100,000 to $1 million. And you just don't see people really doing that kind of commitment anymore. So when these patrons contact me and they say, Rudy, I wanted to thank you because, I watch your videos and you have these crazy collections and cards, and your cards are worth millions and this and that. But it gives me a reason to push and build. And, one of the biggest reasons I like showing you guys, like the collection videos of what did Rudy buy? It shows you on a weekly, monthly, quarterly basis that I'm still slowly buying things when it's a good, respectable, or a good deal, or just not a crazy high market price, and I'm willing to park money into it. And you're seeing the long-term effect. Like when I do these From the Vault Rudy editions, where I show Legends or the Antiquities one coming up, or Arabian Nights one, which I'm still on the fence whether to publish one day because of the sheer amount of Arabian Nights cards in the video. And just things like, and people see, oh my God, look at this, and Rudy is bragging or this and that. I'm not trying to say, hey, look what I have. I'm trying to show you guys that a regular person from Jacksonville, Florida can do it. And which is the hardest form of evidence, a little bit of a giggity, that you ever need to realize that if somebody from Jacksonville, Florida, who literally worked in restaurants, made sandwiches, my first job was the fresh market, working produce and stocking drinks and pineapple and fruit on the shelf, and then working everything at oil changes and car dealerships, can turn into and go the journey and the path I did. Any of you watching can do it. Everyone's going to have a different story, but the point was, it took me 20-something years of nonstop work, no real vacations, no exotic spending. I don't have a car payment. I don't drive anything fancy. I didn't do anything to get, to acquire, to build to what you guys are seeing now. And it's cost me a lot of things, relationships, exes, criticism. You can't share a video or talk about it on Reddit. I'm blacklisted on everything, and I'm not sure why, but that's just always the way that it's been. I don't use Twitter because, every time people would tweet or there'd be a thread I was tagged on, I couldn't read half the tweets because everyone in the Magic community would have me blocked, and all the people I've never even heard of. And so, when you reflect on all this stuff, it's sad that everybody's blocking and negative, and everybody just, I don't feel the perspective of most people is really in the right place. I just feel like everybody's missing a lot in their lives. And I think everybody's really lost their way on a really healthy, good long-term path for family, health, and not to be stressed out working a job when you're older that you don't want to do, which leads to quality of life, of course, which of course leads to money. And if used properly, money, it can buy happiness when used properly. Because money doesn't make you happy, and money cannot technically buy you happiness, but money will give you the freedom of choice. And those of you who are responsible enough, and you're willing to go the distance and sacrifice enough, that choice will empower you to make you happy. And the money is kind of the fuel that can guide you if you have your head is on your shoulders correctly. And that's this video really has no purpose, by the way, for those of you still watching. But you know what? Even if it gets through to a few people, I'm not asking you all to sign up for Patreon, but if you want to talk to me, shameless plug. I mean, that's the best way to communicate because I actually reply to everybody. But it's the same thing with the comment section below and the mindset of everything, the thumbs up, down, the community. And, a lot of people, I mean, there's been people trying to get me to go out to GP events still. And there's even people trying to offer to pay me. And it's just, I'm not really in the mindset to do that stuff. It's just not for me. I don't feel it's going to be psychologically the right direction for me at this time. But to sum up this video, so we can all move on today, I want people to understand that don't set big goals for yourself. Don't sit there and say, Rudy, I wish I had that $160,000 BGS Black Lotus. Well, I don't have a PSA 10 BGS Pristine Alpha Lotus. I don't have one. I've got about 18 Black Lotuses now, but no, they're not Alpha Pristines or any of that fancy crap. They're just not. And, no, I don't have that. I don't think you guys watching should make a goal of saying, next year I'm going to have a $200,000 Black Lotus. Because I don't think that's attainable for most people and something I'm not going to do. And you need to have realistic goals that empower you to move forward and keep climbing up that ladder to better yourself and make yourself motivated. Don't set goals that you won't hit, then you become depressed. You should do things that are good for you and long term will build you up to a level you're happy with. And that's the biggest thing I don't see anymore. You just don't see it. Everybody's so obsessed with the moment, the day, how many likes, how many retweets, how many, some sort of private group of messages and private this or a thread on Twitter or tumbling and the Facebooks and, of course, MySpace. That's a thing, right? And, I feel it's really sad because everybody loses sight of the most important things that really get you to where you want to go in life. And spending all day attacking people or bashing people or politics and just these dumb things that it's almost like an excuse or denial to not be willing to put in the extra hours or do what you have to do. Work more, spend less. Oh, Rudy, I don't have time. That's fine. You don't have time, but you have enough time to watch 3 hours of The Walking Dead on Netflix, or you have enough time to watch every single night your primetime sitcoms or stand-up shows or reality TV. But then you use the excuse of I don't have time. And it's like a self-fulfilling, like a denial thing where you just don't want to do it. And honestly, if you don't want to, that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. If you're content and happy, then don't change. But for those of you out there who are just frustrated with your job or where you are in life and what you're doing, take something you're good at. And if it's magic cards, if it's vehicles, if it's sports cars, if it's being a mechanic, if it's trading stocks, if it's reading books, if it's publishing books, if it's writing a story, if it's writing music or composing or collecting or investing, whatever it is, just go in that direction and master it. Put time into it. Read, learn, watch other people. And, there's really the only real failure to doing anything is when you give up and you just don't try. And I mean, one of the biggest setbacks I had in my life was literally about 6 years ago. I had almost all my liquid cash. It was like $250,000 in one corporate bond, and it defaulted. And I lost all the money. It was tied up and it set me back a long time. And just literally a year ago from the filming of this video, which was like 5 years later from the incident, everything finally worked out. Settlement, court stuff, payout, all this stuff. And, it was a very tough time. And that's just a random example. But the point is, I didn't give up. I worked more hours. I picked up more shifts, working more hours. I stayed late at the brokerage firm to even try to get an extra $1,000 bonus or $500 or an extra couple hundred here and there. You got to try. And that's the difference between the majority of 99% out there and the 1% that make it and the 1% of the people that hire the other 99% to work for them. Is that 1%, guess what? If you want to be successful, if you're envious of either me or another more wealthy billionaire, millionaire person, I encourage you to use that as fuel to try to match it, try to beat me, do better. Because I'm by far not the most efficient, the best person. But I do have a hell of a drive. And whether I win or lose, people hose me, open disputes on eBay, angry messages, ban me, Reddit, message boards, private Facebook, ban Rudy. It doesn't matter, because guess what? I'm still here, still making videos, and the channel is an animal. The Patreon following, the people I talk to, the purchasing, my inventory of magic, the expansion that I'm planning that's going to be announced in the next 60 days, you can't stop it unless I stop. And I encourage you all to do the same thing. I hope you guys learned something today. Thank you.